Ik hou van die Icarus die wist dat de was zou smelten en toch naar de zon toe vloog. Ik hou van het meisje dat wel zag hoe blauw de baard van Blauwbaard was. Dat was juist de reden. Ik hou van Doornroosje die alleen maar deed alsof ze sliep. Ik hou van Sneeuwwitje die de dwergen een stelletje neuroten vond. Die heeft er op mijn stoeltje gezeten. Die heeft mijn bordje gegeten. En van de dwerg die helemaal niet zoveel van Sneeuwwitje hield toen zij er nog niet was. Waren we nog met 7 en nu moet je ons nu eens zien. Van de reus die kwaad is omdat iedereen zijn schoenen laarzen noemt. Ik hou van wie niet in het sprookje past. Maar vooral van Icarus. Die wist dat de was zou smelten en toch naar de zon toe vloog. I'm going to do something tricky. There are quite some people that don't speak Dutch, so I want to read from a translation. Forgive me my way of pronouncing. I didn't practice this. It's my second book. There's a writer. There was a writer, Joe Brainerd, who wrote the book I Remember. It gives an image. It gives a. Oh no, I shouldn't trying to explain in English. My English is not good enough. Anyway, and then there was Carrack who wrote the book Je me souviens, and I wrote my version. And this is a part of it. And I come from a village where it's like wat is speldenkus in het Engels?
Pincushion.
A pincushion, because of all the churches that are there. And this gives an image how it was to grow up there. This gives an idea. There was my brother, who had learned to pray in kindergarten school and was now showing me how to do it. You had to close your eyes and fold your hands and then you would see God. I closed my eyes, joined my hands and saw nothing. You have to squeeze them tighter, said my brother. My eyes are my hands, both of them. I squeezed my eyes tighter, shut my hands tighter together and still saw nothing. Now I did see something, sort of black and white spots. Maybe that was God. Maybe I didn't recognize him because I didn't know what he looked like. There was every year the primary school, which started with the Israelites, how do you say it? Israelites, heading off into the desert. This way it seemed that those Israelites never got out of the desert. There was the teacher who asked which of us would have agreed to die in Jesus' place. I put up my hand. I could see myself on the grassy slope beside the village stream on a big wooden cross. I did not think about the pain. I did think about the fact that after 3 days I would rise up from the dead and that I'd be a hero then. Raising my hand was not the right answer. The right answer was that Jesus was the only one who wanted to do that, who would be able to do that, who would do such a thing for mankind. There was the pastor to whom I wrote, I have the feeling that I don't need God, and who wrote back, God doesn't want to be needed. The same pastor to whom I said during catechism class, I can't imagine that God created the world in 7 days. I simply can't. I was almost certain that the pastor shared my view that you shouldn't interpret those 7 days literally, that you had to see them symbolically, but I really wanted to hear him say that out loud because he hadn't done that yet and the others needed to hear it too. I was helping him out, as it were, with my argument. All he needed to do was to add, of course God didn't create the world in 7 days, but now that's not how you should look at it. But he didn't say that. He said, luckily the creation is not dependent on your imaginative capacity. There was a clairvoyant woman who advised me to buy a non-stick frying pan that would save me a lot of time. There was Pessoa, who I read when I was 20. He wrote, I don't believe in God because I've never seen him. If he wanted me to believe in him, undoubtedly he would come to talk with me and step into my room and he would say to me, here I am. And that if God was the flowers and the trees and the mountains and the sun and the moonlight, he then believed in him every hour of the day. That his life was one prayer, one mass, one communion with the eyes and through the ears. But if God is the trees and the flowers and the mountains and the sun, why then do I call him God? There was a day when I decided to no longer call God God. There were so many people who named him and everyone meant something different. There was Pessoa, thanks to whom I could think that God wouldn't mind. There was a day when I was mopping a staircase and couldn't go on because of the crying, and asked God, if you exist, which I don't believe, but if it is the case, will you let your love flow through me? Not all your love, but as much as I can bear. God, if you exist, make me less numb. There was a boy who broke off a piece of his cling film wrapped sandwich in order to feed the pigeons. He reached his arm back with the piece of bread in his hand, swung his arm forward again and looked at the ground where he thought the piece would have fallen, but it was stuck to his finger. When he discovered that, he swung his arm back again, where the piece of bread fell off his finger without him noticing, swung his arm forward again, then noticed that it wasn't on his finger anymore, turned around and saw that the pigeons had found his bread. There was a day when the only thought which kept me going was I've never harmed anyone, which I'm not so sure anymore about. There was an art teacher who put my first abstract artwork in the display case and defended it to my classmates. If you see a cow standing in the meadow, you don't ask, what is that? It's a cow. Well, this is this. There was a teacher who asked what I wanted to achieve with the drama class I was about to give into sixth formers. It was my answer that I wanted to come into the class in such a way the sixth formers would never forget me. There was an old lady whose house I cleaned. She lay in the sofa listening to the radio. Clearing the windowsill, I dropped a plant, broken pot, earth on the floor. I stood with my back to her and didn't dare move. You can see that this is not what you were trained to do, she said in her friendly voice. This pastor is a very important person in my life still. For example, when I was 15 years old, I read, well, still you can read these things, that it was very important to be yourself and stuff like that. And I thought, but what is it to be yourself? So I went to him and asked, how do you do that, being yourself? I heard it's important, but how do you do that? And he said, well, if you open the tap and you be with all your concentration with the tap and the water, then you are yourself. Which I didn't understand because I didn't see what tap and water had to do with being myself. But I tried it, and I wondered, would you be able to see the difference between someone who just opens a tap to wash her hands, or the person who does that in order to be herself? Well, now I already explained the poem, so I don't have to. So my pastor was a Buddhist. And this is in Dutch, about a chestnut tree who had preferred to stay a chestnut. In fact, it was eikeltje in het Engels.
Eikel.
What was? Acorn. Oh, an acorn, of course. In fact, it was an acorn. But in Dutch, anyway. That also means something else. Anyway, it's a bit more nice to have a chestnut in this poem. And now I'm writing a poem about the acorn who's complaining why he wasn't good enough for being in a poem, but it's not finished yet. This is a chestnut tree. Als iemand mij nou maar had opgeraapt en in zijn zak gestopt en daar gelaten had, dat af en toe een hand mij vond, voelde hoe zacht ik was en dan weer losliet. Of op de vensterbank gelegd, het nachtkastje in een rommeldoos, de keukenla. Ik heb nog nooit een reis gemaakt, ik moest zo nodig wortel schieten. Als iemand mij dan maar had opgeraapt, er was niets aan de hand geweest, ik was kastanjebruin geweest, ik had geglanst, later was ik wat gaan rimpelen en dan, nou ja, maar nu moet ik onvrijwillig transformeren, niet zo'n beetje ook. En steeds als ik zo ongeveer gewend ben aan mijn nieuwe vorm, steeds als ik zo min of meer geaccepteerd heb dat ik ben zoals ik ben, dan ben ik alweer anders. En als het nu zo was dat ik gekozen had om zo te zijn, dat ik het wilde, steeds een ring erbij, zoveel soortgenoten aan mijn takken in een veilig stekelhuis, zo anders dan ik zelf, dan weet ik het nog goed. Ik heb het opgegeven te zijn zoals ik ben, ik groei maar mee met wie ik worden zal. Af en toe hoor ik dat iemand zegt hoe mooi ik ben, in mijn schaduw gebeuren dingen die de moeite waard zijn.